Welcome along to Access All Ours. We're live from the Harlington Training Ground. 1:30 on Thursday means Access All Ours. Last week we were joined by head coach Chris Ramsey. This week we're joined by the chief, the skipper, Nedum Onuoha. The only person who doesn't call you the chief is yourself. Thank you very much for joining us. And it's been we'll be looking back over your QPR career over the next half an hour. But it's been in terms of the first week, very mixed, disappointing against Charlton, and then obviously a lot more pleasing result on Tuesday against Yeovil.
Yeah, just another week in life of QPR player. QPR fan, yeah. We had a really low low and a really good high. So yeah, it was a shame that we didn't win the first game of the season. You know, that was everyone's ambition. A lot of people believed that we would do as well, ourselves included. So to not get the win was disappointing, but to bounce back in the cup at what potentially was a bit of a banana skin, because I think in my 3 or 4 seasons here, I think I've only played in about 3 cup games anyway, so I think the fact that we've got one more, that's definitely a positive.
Okay, if you've got a question for Nedum, you can tweet us using the hashtag AccessAllOurs, and we'll be going through those and picking the best ones over the course of the next half an hour or so. Looking firstly then on the opening day of the season against Charlton. There's always that hype, that build-up, because from the end of June when the fixtures come out, everyone's talking about that one fixture. It was obviously hugely disappointing to lose it.
It was, yeah. As you say, we've been thinking about that from when the fixtures were announced, that we come back in for pre-season, working towards that game. You know, the pre-season game, you can do well, not do so well, and so on, but you're thinking this is all basically building up towards that moment. And then when the moment came, unfortunately, by the end of it, we haven't been for it. I think we had a few good chances, but we just weren't quite there on the day. Overall, I don't think we deserved to win the game. But
first half we started well.
Yeah, we did. But Charlton were at home. It was their first home game of the season. I was going to try and give it just that little bit extra because it's the first game of the season. I think a few teams this year as well might see us and think that we're a big draw, so they'll probably give themselves another few percent as well. So it's going to be a hard game by the end of the season. All that way, basically.
If that chance for Matt Phillips goes in a minute into the second half, it's probably a different game altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. I think that's one thing I've seen over the years, the importance of the first goal. When you're on top of the game,
From a defensive point of view, having James Perch, Paul Konchesky, effectively a back four that had never even really trained together, suddenly playing together, is that a challenge?
Not really, no, not really. The people I was playing alongside are very experienced players, and essentially the role that you play within the back four is the same kind of whichever club you're at. The actual defensive part, I think, in terms of attacking, you can vary, but overall, as the defender, if you're in the back four, you're there to defend, and I don't think most of us would have gotten this far if we couldn't do that.
What was the mood like afterwards?
It was disappointing. I think some people that were here last year were a bit more frustrated because, you know, it's like he hadn't broken the run that we were on from last season. But they were disappointed because I don't believe they feel they showed their true colours, if you know what I mean. So there was a bit of a split there, but everything at the end came about focusing for Tuesday, and Tuesday came and we got a result.
It was perfect to have that game so soon.
Yeah, it was. Obviously a bit far away. It was good to have a really good turnout as well from our fans. We played well, we won the game, so what more we can.
We'll talk about Yeovil in greater detail in just a moment, but before that we've also got the question that the Ars fans, they put plenty in via hashtag AccessAllOurs. We asked you to put your question to the QPR squad and the best one was selected. And the one that we have chosen to put to the QPR squad is from Simon Hawkins. A great question. If a movie was to be made about a season at QPR, which actor would play you? That was the question. We put it to the QPR squad, and here are their answers.
I think Will Smith. I think he's also funny like me.
Denzel Washington, it's got to be. Because I just think he's the best, for me, the best actor ever.
I'm on Troy.
Eddie Murphy. Because somebody told me you have same look.
I think DiCaprio because he's a very flexible actor and he can change roles at the drop of a hat. So I'm giving him the job.
I think I'll probably have to go for Channing Tatum just because I think the ladies are having him a lot. So I'll take that.
Maybe the actor looks like me. Maybe David Hasselhoff or someone. It's okay.
He's not an actor. I'd say Bruno Mars because people have compared him to look like me. That's all. Yeah.
Can you sing like him?
No.
Russell Crowe for when he was in Gladiator because look at resemblance. Look, solid 10s there.
Some interesting choices there. Seb Poulter, a particular favourite. I understand there's a few issues with Nedum's microphone, so we've got that all sorted out. Nedum, who would you have gone for if there was a movie about QPR? Which actor would you like to play you?
Well, I'm going to have to repeat. I don't think it's the right actor for them anyway. I think I'd have to take Denzel Washington because he's not really Denzel Washington type of guy. But for me, you see, when he's a good guy, you love him. When he's a bad guy, you love him. And he's just really good at doing all the horrible, all the great things.
See, Nedum Onuoha is known as being a good guy. Has Nedum got that nasty side to him? I mean, Olivier Giroud seen it, admittedly.
Yeah. I think I do have another side to me, but I think at times I probably say I'm more like Denzel in Equalizer. He's killing people.
So you're suppressing.
Yeah, I've got real anger issues.
That's a worry. This is going to come out. This season will test you.
It comes out when I need to do it.
When it's needed.
When it's needed,
yeah. Okay, good stuff. And just a reminder, we'll be doing that again next week. That's how we operate. If we use an idea and it works, we just repeat that idea. Repeat. So if you've got a question that you'd like to put to the QPR squad, tweet us using hashtag #AccessAllOurs. We'll pick the best one. We'll put it to a selection of the R's squad ahead of next week's show. Okay, turning now to Yeovil then, and it was a far more enjoyable game. And over the course of the 90 minutes, it was well deserved. Actually, before we do talk about it, let's remind ourselves of what happened in Somerset on Tuesday night. Okay, so a comfortable victory as it turned out on Tuesday night. Going into it, of course, your 100th game. That's and you've still not managed to go grey after being at QPR for 100 games.
It's a miracle. I'm not grey. I'm not bald. Some people still think I'm quite young, so yeah, that's a perk. Going into the game, I did realise it was my 100th game, But that was the second time I'd realised that this season, because before the Charlton game, someone had told me that was my 100th game as well. So I thought, I've lost, that's such a shame. But then getting the second opportunity to relive that. Exactly, it's the 100th again this Saturday, isn't it? So yeah, it was nice. It was nice to get to that milestone. It's something that I was thinking about towards the end of last season. But then I got sent off against Liverpool, so that one kind of went out the window a little bit. So I can't blame anyone else there but myself. So yeah, it's nice to be there now.
Was there extra pressure going into the game? Not so much that it was your 100th appearance, but in terms of that we hadn't beaten Charlton, a big game on Saturday against Cardiff, to slip up against Yeovil would have suddenly felt like there was even greater pressure so early in the season?
Perhaps. But I think the bigger pressure was from people to really say how good they are and show how good we can be as a team. You know, if we would have played in the game and played exceptionally well but lost 10-0, it would have been disappointing, but in the same breath we would have seen progress. And I think compared to Saturday there was progress, because we had a game plan, we stuck to the game plan, and it worked. It worked really well. So yeah, it was a perk to win that one.
We've got some questions in on Twitter.
Yeah, Bradley Davis makes the point that Nedum's already destroyed the mic. Stuart Morley says, and we'll get onto this in more detail later in the show, but what's your one proudest moment in a QPR shirt?
The two big ones for me stand out compared to the others. There was the final at Wembley, but then I was also staying up as well 2 years before that, because going into that game, actually it was the spell. I'll talk about the City game. There was a spell for 3 weeks before that where we were required to win all our home games, or you had to get something from all our home games. But we were playing against Spurs, we were playing against Arsenal, we were playing against teams like this, and even Stoke in the last game of the season, last home game of the season, they were going for something. So to come out at the end of that Stoke game with the win and know that you need something at the City of Manchester just to confirm it, that was terrifying. But then at the end of the City game, you've stayed up, and although you lost that game, the fact that you'd won the others when everyone was basically writing you off, that was a massive feeling.
How did that City game? We're seeing it here. Obviously, it's certainly not mixed emotions, because you wanted to win the game. You certainly wanted the result to keep QPR
celebrating just there. See that?
in the Premier League. But talk us through this, because you and the back four didn't know that the game with Bolton.
I get in Manchester, whenever I go back, a lot of United fans think I was Tay Tyrewell here that dived in. So I get a lot of grief for that. They say that I did that on purpose.
You're trying to give him a penalty.
Yeah, but I didn't myself, and as I say, the other back four, the other members of the back four, we didn't realise that we were safe at the time. So that was a really terrifying moment to see that they've scored, and in our heads we thought we were down. But only then, when you look around and see that every single last person in the stadium, to a man, is celebrating.
And that feeling in the dressing room must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was. That was special, because, as I say, we were the underdogs. But then there was also a massive sense of relief in there. I was fortunate enough to go and congratulate City, because I'd just left, and it wasn't the same as our dressing room anyway. Let's just say that. Whereas we were sort of thinking, oh, thank goodness for that, we got away with it, blah blah blah. They were spraying the champagne, we were drinking the beers. So, that's a key difference at that.
Another question on Twitter from Roarington. He said, "Why did you change your squad number to 5 this year?"
Well, interestingly enough, I've been playing for 11 years now, coming up to 12, and I've never actually picked a squad number myself. So the reason my squad number changed is because Kaz just said, "This is your number now." From when I first turned professional and made my debut, I was number 16 at 16 at City. Then I went to Sunderland alone. I was 15. Games QPR, I was 42. Then someone turned me to 15. Then someone's put me in 5. So none of it's been my decision. For me, a number is just a number, because at the end of the day, I don't really see what I'm running anyway, do I? So it doesn't trouble me at all.
One other question from Adam Manas says, "How much of a motive is it for you in each game to perform and win for the fans, and how much does that rank among other motives that you set yourself on a match day?"
That's a tough question, that one, just because, say, you do want to win, and the fans want us to win as well. But I'm playing to win, say, for myself, for my teammates, for the people who I work with throughout the week. Us winning affects more than us. It affects the fans, because they're coming to see that. So everyone going out there that's maybe wearing a QPR shirt or has a QPR sort of affinity with QPR, you know, we all want the same thing. So we're not necessarily, when I go out there, I'm not necessarily trying to win the game for the fans, but I am trying to win it for everyone that has, you know, some stake in QPR.
And one final question for the minute. Giorgio says, given your academic credentials, if you weren't playing football, what would your career path be now?
Wow, that's these questions are
They're good, aren't they?
Yeah, they are good. I basically finished my education after my A-levels, after I did my maths, business studies and IT. After I finished that, I basically carried on playing because I was fortunate enough to start playing when I was 17. So that was great, but then it sort of took away the whole educational side of it. If I would have started when I was maybe 20, 21, then I would have spent a few more years at university, had a better idea of which direction I wanted to go in, but there was only really one direction for the moment. I started playing, so what I would be doing now?
Who knows?
No idea at all.
So looking at the 100 games, you marked it with a goal. You scored 3 goals in your QPR career, and it does seem that you only do it on special occasions. So opening game of the season against Sheffield Wednesdays when you opened your account, it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's when I realised that shortly before that I realised that I was expecting my first child. Yeah.
Excellent.
That's right, yeah.
So not just the opening day,
Yeah.
but also following that day.
Yeah.
And then you waited for the new arrival to celebrate your second.
Yeah, and then when she was born that week, I scored to celebrate her birth. Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. And then the third one obviously came at the weekend on Tuesday night when you were marking your 100th appearance.
You've got to pick your moments.
Absolutely. So either we need another addition to the Onuoha family, which guarantees a couple of goals, or we're waiting for the 250.
No, don't get me wrong. I would love to have scored more goals. I've had a few chances over the years, and it's amazing how quickly time can fly. And all of a sudden you're in this massive drought. But then also when you change to the halfway line, back from set pieces and stuff, it's not really conducive to scoring a lot of goals either.
And talk us through the celebration. You had the glasses, and then you ran over to the dugout.
Yeah, I was going over to my friend Junior Hoyle actually, because it's hard for say the manager and people in the squad because it's a big squad, and unfortunately everyone can play every single week. But as far as it goes, I say he's a good friend of mine, and he's disappointed not to be playing, especially when there were so many changes made. So I just went over to there to see him and to see the rest of the players, just to let them know that we're in this together.
Nice touch.
As a skipper, do you feel there's that added responsibility on you to show that almost?
That we're in it together?
And to be aware of others, because I suppose normally as a player you concentrate on yourself. As a captain, there's suddenly almost that requirement for you to be looking out for your teammates that little bit more?
Perhaps. I think the way that I've been as a player and as a person for basically my entire life is, I've been quite empathetic with people. And I think as far as football goes, there's so many different situations you can find yourself in, and not everyone is as enjoyable as the next. You could be playing week in, week out and be really successful. You could be playing week in, week out and not doing so well. You could just not be playing at all. So, I think because I've seen all the different sides, I've got a better understanding of, say, what it feels like to be there. And at times you don't want to feel alone. So, as I say, even though as a captain, you do have that role. It's almost written down in the job description. As a person, I'd always try and be there for people anyway.
Great stuff. Just a word then on Seb Poulter. He obviously scored his first goal for the club on Tuesday against Yeovil. If you look at his statistics through his career, he's 44 in 157, so he pretty much averages 1 in 3. He's off to a fine start with QPR, 1 in 2. What's he like around the place?
No, he's good. He's very good and enjoys the big German. He from when he first came in, he's a really positive guy. Seems a really, really nice guy. And when you have people like that, you really want them to do well. When he first came in, he was adjusting to the way that we play, the way that English football's played. But as every day passes, you start to see more and more, because this is someone that played for German under-21s, I believe, with some players who've gone on to play for the full national side. So there's something there, and as I say, because he's such a good guy, you want him to do well. And he's really enthusiastic as well. Like every day we play games of like 2-touch between 3 or 4 of us. And in fairness, he loses 99% of those games, but he comes back every single day, even though we're playing for earflicks. So you just see he's a nice guy trying to improve. And by the end of the season, who knows, he might be only losing 90% of those games.
And he took that goal well, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
There's a big centre half up against him. He shrugged him off and then got the finish away with his left foot.
Yes, he is. that's for me. That's a very good finish, and that's the type of thing we need. He's putting people under pressure, and he's managed to finish as well. I'll get us a long way in this division.
And internationally, interestingly enough, he's scored 9 goals in 17 games at under 16, 18 and 21 level. He's 24 now, so it would have to be the next step up for him. But it's not a bad record on the international stage as well.
Scoring goals at any level is special, and the fact that he's turned pro and he's 24 and still doing that is can only be positive for us. Yeah, absolutely.
We spoke about the Man City game earlier. We asked you earlier to pick your 3 top moments from your time with QPR. You chose that, and one of the other ones, interestingly, was winning at Chelsea. And I'm sure that'll please the QPR fans greatly because it meant a great deal to them. But I suppose it shows that an understanding and appreciation on your part of what it meant as well.
Yeah, there is that. There is a side about how it's Derby, and it's playing as anything that our fans don't like their fans. I mean, that's very obvious from the get-go. But in this game, people had written us off again. And when people start to do that, it's not an insult to you because they might be going off statistics and so on. But then in any given moment, it's 11 versus 11. We went there. Our away record, as it's been for most of the time I've been here, has been non-existent. But we got the win, and I quite enjoy winning there because Chelsea never really lose at home. But it's actually the 3rd time that I've won there as a player, so it's something that I tend to do now. Just rack up wins at Stamford Bridge.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
And what's the feeling like at the final whistle there? Obviously, in the closing stages, Chelsea were piling forward particularly as a centre back to keep them out, keep that clean sheet. That must give you an incredible sense of satisfaction when that whistle goes.
Yeah, I was playing right back in that game. I remember I couldn't really feel my legs anymore because I've been running around so much. But everyone was working hard, and when you have something to hold on to, it's a completely different mindset altogether. And you have belief, you have something to hold on to. Time isn't stopping for them; it keeps moving forward, and you have the lead. So you're confident that you'll be able to get to the end of the match, and then hopefully when you do, you can really enjoy it for all of 2 days before you play the next game.
Another question from a fan on Twitter, Bradley Davis says, as captain, do you involve yourself in transfers and try and influence players such as Charlie Austin and Matty Phillips to stay at QPR?
What do I influence transfers? I think for me, some people are a little bit misguided the way that transfers work. You could be the most, say for example, Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid is Ronaldo at Real Madrid. But if the club receive an offer for him tomorrow, and they think it's a good enough offer, then Cristiano Ronaldo leaves the club.
It's almost taken out of the players' hands to an extent.
So people sometimes think that players have a lot of power, but it's not really like that at all. Even say Raheem Sterling move, for example, which has obviously benefited us, Liverpool didn't need to accept the fee. If a club really wants to keep somebody, then they'll keep somebody. Obviously, the player has to contribute as well. But if a club really wants to keep someone, that's what will happen. There's no one that can ever walk out of the door because at the end of the day, this is where you contracted. So until that's not the case,
Okay, and at the 3rd game, I don't think it comes as any surprise. You had staying up against Manchester City, winning at Stamford Bridge, and this day must have been incredible.
Yes, it was. It really, really was. Again, I think we're going into it as underdogs, and they were playing well. We were doing okay. We were competing. There were a few chances and so on, but then from when Gary O'Neill gets sent off. Speaking of which, it was my fault they got sent off as well because I gave the ball away close to the halfway line, and then things happened quickly, and then he had to make the decision. So in that moment, I thought I've ruined the whole season. So I was probably as low as any of the players on the pitch at the time.
Was that on your mind during that?
It was
constantly.
Yeah, from when it happened, I thought I've done this, I've messed this up in the biggest game. But then, as I say, the moment comes.
That's why you were the first one over to Bobby at the final whistle.
You have no idea.
I never run quicker.
Yeah, the moment comes, Junior tackles the guy out wide, gets the ball in, guy makes a mistake, Bobby finishes it. And I'm standing on the halfway line, slap bang in the centre. It's probably the best view I've ever had in football when I've seen every single person in front of me start celebrating as the ball goes into the top corner. Say, I didn't see a single Derby fan because I had my back to them.
Yeah.
So it was perfect. It was like the perfect spot to see it. And then, as I say, everything's going crazy. They then change their game plan to try and score a quick goal. Doesn't work. And then, Yeah, then we've done it. We probably, if we're honest, didn't deserve to win the game if it was just to go off statistics. But then, lo and behold, football is just who scores. If you score one more than the opposition, then sometimes you can get promoted. Huh?
Did you feel that the last couple of minutes took a long time? Injury time.
Is yes and no.
They had a couple of half chances.
Yeah, they did. There's a couple of half chances. Didn't have anything too major, but then I remember there was a point, I think it might have been with Greeny or something, where he had the ball for like 45 seconds, and I was just joyous as we were just standing around, as he was taking forever to do something. But then it was good, because I think if we would have had to play another 10, 15 minutes, then it would have been a lot harder. But when you've got a 1-0 lead, even with 10 men, you've got 5 minutes to defend, I think you can get by with that just fine. Yeah, okay, well, except if you're at the City of Manchester. Wow, yeah, there is that. But then if you don't need it, then I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah.
Go down into third gear.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're going to be talking about the potential starting lineup on Saturday against Cardiff City at Loftus Road. Firstly, before we do that, let's just get an injury update with physio Nigel Cox.
Just had a reaction to a knee problem in the summer, and he spent some time in a private clinic while we were away in Italy, just working on strength and stability, and he's coming back well, and he's undergoing rehabilitation. We're off to see a specialist tomorrow just for confirmation of everything's fine, and then we can hopefully press on and get him back into some sort of training outdoors within the next couple of weeks. Leroy's doing really well from his situation. We just had that persistent sort of reactive swelling on the knee that has settled right down, calming down, and every day he's progressing well. He's actually outside running now, so we're really happy about that and hopeful that he will return to training in the near future. Obviously, he's a massive and key player to us going forward. It's not one we want to push, so we're being ultra cautious, but I think, for all the right reasons. He's basically outdoors now every day, involved in functional movement and football practice, building him up to involvement with the squad, and we're fully hopeful that he may sort of make some modified progress into the group next week. Jack's doing really well again. He's sort of over a little blip that he had a few weeks ago, but bringing from such a big injury, loading him again and things like that in the gym are going to create issues and feelings and things that we're going to have to go with and work with, and Jack has to get over a few hurdles along the way, and so you'll have these little setbacks, but we move forward, and happily we're moving forward very well with him at the moment, and we're very happy with his progress.
So injury-wise, encouraging news from Nigel Cox and the treatment room, and it must be good for the squad as well that these injuries seem to be clearing up, because last week there was a glut of injuries that we were going through, and now it's just 3 or 4 of the lads.
Yeah, I think you're right there, but then also it makes it harder for people to actually get a spot in the team. That's the issue. But yeah, it's good to have people coming back into the fold, and the bigger the problems that the manager has in terms of selection, and hopefully that'll be the better that we play comes Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go into what was the starting 11 on Tuesday night at Yeovil. The manager made 7 changes for that game. It was still a very strong side, and it was, as it proved to be, more than capable of getting the victory against the League 2 side. Do you expect, I can ask you, assuming you don't know the starting 11, do you expect there to be many changes going into Saturday's game? Because obviously he made several for this fixture. The players such as Ben Gladwin came in, he did very well. Seb Poulter came in, did very well. Cole Capecqua, we spoke about earlier, Michael Doughty. So suddenly there's a selection headache.
Yes. Perfect job for a manager to have. Do I expect changes? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think the manager's in a good position because he doesn't have to make changes, because there's been a positive result and a positive performance. Whether or not he will, it's a different matter altogether, but I'm sure by the time Saturday comes, we'll pick the right team to go up against the opposition.
And Matt Phillips is doing very well, and he's one of the players. There's always this transfer speculation surrounding him, but he seems to be conducting himself like Charlie in brilliant fashion.
Yeah, of course. I think you can, at times, we're the same as, say, the fans or people from the outside. We're reading about things ourselves. Then you might ask an agent, is this true or whatever?
Right.
But chances are it's not really truth, because most of the press stuff, unless you see it actually happen, it's just fantasy anyway.
Apart from this is
real.
This is absolutely real.
Yeah.
Absolutely real.
This is 100% real. Yeah.
I think we've got a new strap line there. Do the players, because I know like Charlie or Matt, if they speak to the fans, understandably one of the first questions the fans ask is, are you going, are you staying? Do the players do that, the fellow players?
Yeah, but sometimes it's just do it as a bit of fun. Like from when pre-season started, I'd come in and be like, oh, hi Charlie, why are you still here? Matthew, I thought you were going somewhere else. Like, it's just one of those things. It's a crazy time of year, but then it also is quite enjoyable for those people who aren't really involved in it. And I do try and focus as much on the people as possible. I've heard you're going to go and sign for whoever, but you're standing next to me in this 5-a-side, so what's going on there? Yes, unfortunately, most of those stories are nonsense. Only Charlie really knows what's going on, as well as the club. But for as long as someone's here, you can enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. We're looking ahead to Saturday's game then against Cardiff City. We caught up with club ambassador Andy Sinton, and he gave us his verdict on what to expect.
A tough one, just like every game's going to be in the Championship. I think we've already seen that, and Cardiff are a prime example actually. Came down from the Premier League, highly tipped to go straight back up last year, but I wouldn't say struggled, but got a mid-table finish, so it's a tough league. So they've got some good players. Got to get hold of the middle of the park. I'm a great believer games are won and lost middle of the park. They got a couple of players, the likes of Whittingham, vastly experienced, Pilkington playing the Premier League, them sort of boys. Noon's a good player, came off the bench and scored the other day, so I could go right through their sort of side, but I think it's about us. We've got to impose ourselves. Well, that's what I would like to be seen as a fan, us to impose ourselves, play with pace, play with energy, and put them on the back foot and bring the great crowd at Loftus Road into play. The two front boys that they had out at the weekend are sharp. Pilkington gets goals from the middle of the park. So they've got threats all over the place. Two boys from the back go off for set plays. So if I was Chris, and I'm sure Chris knows better than me, he'll have all their strengths and weaknesses worked out. But from my point of view, first home game back at Loftus Road, crowd get right behind us, and let's see the boys on the front foot, take the game to them and worry about us rather than the opposition.
Andy Sinton there, looking ahead to Saturday's game at Loftus Road against Cardiff City. Nedum, the first home game. Is there extra nerves?
No, not at all. Not for me anyway. I think some people might feel nervous, but not for me. I think there's only really been two games where I felt nervous. One was it was my second game as a professional, which was away at Highbury. I was playing right back in Thierry Henry, Robert Perez, Ashley Cole, Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Vieira, Cesc Fabregas, Sol Campbell. People were playing, so I was a bit nervous then at 17. And then the other one was the Man City game, because that was mental. That whole week was just mental, especially.
Not the player final?
No, I wasn't really nervous before that. No, I think I just felt positive about it. I thought we were going to win. But yeah, the Man City game, I played out every scenario in my mind, and some worked out in my favour, and other ones, because I'd just left there, was that I'd left from somewhere else and I'd just been relegated at home, which wasn't a home ground anymore. Nobody liked me anymore, so yeah. Or
even contributing towards City not winning the title.
Exactly, which would have been the one, but I was very fortunate that I basically ended up seeing them win the title, and more importantly see us stay up, and the season ended and I was 15 minutes away from my house, and everyone else was travelling down to London, but I was comfortably at home while they were sitting in traffic.
Boxes ticked.
Yeah.
Okay, so with regards to Cardiff, there's no nerves there, but as a captain, before kick-off, will you be speaking to the other players? Do you do anything differently like that?
No, I think I think that from what I've seen, there are different ways to be a captain, and I think sometimes a lot of stuff will get said in dressing rooms. There'll be lots of huddles and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, that's not on the pitch. So you can sometimes think that you've won a game because of the way that you got dressed on this particular day. But when you go out on the field, that's when it starts, and I think that's when I sort of that's when I like to take a bigger step forward and take up a bigger role, make sure everyone's ready when it's about to kick off, and make sure we know what we're doing. As you can say it 10 minutes before kick off, this is what we're going to do. But given that we're all footballers and we're all so stupid and got short memories and all that, by the time we get onto the field, we've probably forgotten all about it. So, yeah.
And for the crucial head toss, do you always stick with the same? Do you vary it?
Just depends on my mood, depends on the coin, the wind conditions and stuff like that. But yeah, to be honest, the coin toss it's mildly important now. But I think the way that we play, I don't know if this is giving away anything, but if we lose the toss, then we try and win the ball back straight away. If we win the toss, then it's something that we do from every kickoff. Right. So we've prepared either way.
Excellent. We'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for watching Access All Ours. Just a reminder, if you've got a question for the QPR squad ahead of next week's show, you can tweet us using the hashtag AccessAllOurs. It just remains to thank Nedum Onuoha for joining us this Thursday at lunchtime. And we're going to leave you with a goal that was scored 40 years ago this Sunday from Jerry Francis against Liverpool for a 2-0 win, and it was voted the goal of the season.